Do you do meditate, Ken?
Well, not in the traditional sense, but I, you know, my form of meditating is, I think, getting drunk.
I mean, it has so many kinds of,
exercise, but I don't, do the traditional meditation. I don't think.
Yeah, it means like you don't sit, right?
I don't sit and and all of that.
Oh,
stuff.
that you know about the That's good.
Oh, yeah.
We are online now, Ken.
I try to still my mind. I have my own techniques for my form of.
We are online now, Ken. Okay, we are on my Facebook page already. Wait a second. The reason that I do the live streaming, because sometimes when we talk, people may have some concerns or questions related to what we are talking. Maybe they will leave their questions down the comments, and then I will read it and send it to you. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. There are a few people who are already watching us on Facebook. So as I already noticed, today we have Ken with us. Ken is my old friend, and now we are still very good friends. How long have we met?
Well, I suspect a little over 2 years, probably, somewhere around.
Yeah, somewhere around 2 years. Yeah. And right at the first time we met, I always felt like you were having positive energy all the time, and that is why we attracted each other. I think so. And the topics that we always talk are always about positive things instead of chit chat or gossips, stuff like that, right? Yeah. Recently, I started sharing with people about energy and the strength of energy in the aspect of how it can help us to be more positive or to be more healthy in life, especially in this period of time when we are facing with the COVID, and we have to be home. Trying to find things to do. People are getting bored and crazy easily, more than ever, and that is why I'm trying to create these posts or these topics related to energy. And you are definitely one of my first guest speaker. You are the first guest speaker appearing on my live streaming. So everybody say hi to Ken. People are saying hi. Morning, Ken and Chun.
Morning. Ciao.
Okay, I want to spend a little time to introduce you a little to the audience.
Okay.
Ken is not only my dear friend, but he has been a writer. He's from America. And at the same time, he's an English teacher as well. And from what I see in the reality, his students love him so much. And I think it is that because of some reasons, some special reasons that I would like Ken to share about that a little in this talk as well. So thank you so much, Ken, to be present here today to talk.
Always honored.
And as I always say to people here on my channel, I only have the truth. Right. It will not always be a thing like people are always love or people are always respecting me for whatever. But here,
the truth is not always comfortable. But yes,
it's always the truth. And I'm not yet a perfect version of myself, so I just share what is honestly from my heart, And
Good.
I expect the same thing from all the guest speaker, and I believe that Ken is a perfect guest, a perfect first guest.
Well, I'm flattered. Yeah, you know, New Yorkers, we talk very straight. We say what's on our mind. We don't edit much. I have always found that the New York state of mind is very truthful and sometimes very abrasive, but nonetheless from the heart.
Yes, when you speak the truth, it's not over. It's like, I mean, it's not too much and it's not like too little, right? It's always enough.
It is what it is, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'm a writer. I've been a writer for my entire adult life, and a stage performer and radio personality, etc. And I teach English, and I think you're right. I think that the kids respond well to me. I think that my children learn at a much quicker level than the average student, because I have a skill set as a communicator that is based in what they need to learn, not only to speak the language, but to be able to communicate in the language. And so my kids do a lot of reading. They're developing their imaginations, learning critical thinking skills, how to think outside the box and have fun. I mean, we do theater and singing, and we, you know, and I'm talking children of all ages, from the little teeny 3 and 4 year olds up to, you know, high school and beyond. So whatever I'm doing, I believe to be effective.
Yeah, I believe so, because that is what I saw from you. To be honest, I am like, whenever I chose to invite somebody to be present with me on a public channel like this, I have to make sure I choose the right people, and you are that one. Yeah, and the children in Zianzhou, they are so lucky to have you, because I have been teaching English as well, and I have been going quite so many places all over Vietnam to see what the people and the teachers are doing with their kids. And it's sometimes said that the way they teach is not something that can make the children feel exciting or they feel happy about it. It's just something they have to do because they are asked to do. So
they're not even asked to do it. The poor kids go to these English centers. They go to school 6 days a week, and then they got to go to English centers, and it's becomes labor to them rather than a source of enjoyment or pleasure. And you can't learn something if you're not having a good time at it. I mean, that's the bottom line. You're right. It's the technique, the methods of teaching English in Vietnam are failed. I mean, and that's a fact. They're failed. That's why the scores, the comparative scores globally of the Vietnamese have actually dropped in the last 2 years. Dropped. Not even, they're already low. Now they're below average. They're in the portion, and it's not because Vietnamese children aren't smart enough. It's because obviously the methods and the techniques of teaching are failed and must be revised.
That is why today we are talking about what to do in the COVID pandemic, including the education. Because you are an educator and I'm an educator in some meaning. So just in COVID pandemic, people have to think, and they have to look back at what they are doing during this time and the previous time. And this time, it seems like it helps the educators to look back and to see what is the problem. And now we have to change. So change what and how, right? Getting back to our main topic today, what to do in the COVID pandemic. What are you doing in the COVID pandemic, Ken?
Well, there's a saying, and you probably maybe heard it, every cloud has a silver lining, which means that no matter how bad something is, there's something you can grasp, something good from it. And that's what I've done during the pandemic. I have taken lots of this free time, this horribly boring cabin fever free time, to read more and especially to write more. I'm even writing some songs, and I hadn't written songs in years and years. In other words, I'm trying to dedicate time to the things that I love, particularly the arts, and things obviously that can be done in the confines of my room. You know, so I'm trying to make the best of a bad situation.
So you've mentioned what you do is to read more, write more, and not only you are writing books, but you're also writing songs, right? That is so cool.
Songs.
And I also want to ask this question to the people who are watching us as well. What are you doing in this COVID pandemic? Các bạn đang làm gì ở trong khoảng thời gian COVID này? Các bạn cũng có thể chia sẻ ở đây nhé, để Chun có thể chia sẻ lại với Ken và đặt câu hỏi cho Ken nhé. Ken thì mới vừa nói rằng là tranh thủ thời gian này thì bởi vì ông ấy là một nhà văn nên ông ấy tranh thủ ông viết và đọc được nhiều sách hơn, viết được nhiều hơn, và không chỉ viết sách thì ông ấy còn viết cả bài hát nữa ha. Đây là một trong những cái hoạt động mà Chun nghĩ là nó sẽ giúp cho chúng ta có được cái năng lượng tích cực rất là nhiều. Okay, I'm talking about how these activities are helping them or helping us to have positive energy. And again, mention to the word energy. What do you think about the energy, and where does your energy come from whenever I meet you?
Well, I think part of my energy is genetic. I happen, on my mother's side of the family, we just happen to be a very verbose and sort of loud and active clan. But, you know, energy comes from I believe in my case, the imagination. And so no matter what the circumstance, you can keep your energy level up. I mean, I spend, like we all do, so much time in my room. But my creative spirit is strong and powerful, so I just keep looking for outlets for it. Somebody might take the time to redecorate their room or their house. Maybe if you've always wanted to play guitar and you have one in the closet, you just never got around to it, take it out and learn guitar. Start writing, start reading, start doing things you've thought about. Maybe learn some new recipes. If you've been curious about, you know, cooking certain styles or ways, just, you know, you've simply got to make do with what you have, what's around you.
It's you have the same thoughts as mine during this time, because people have a lot of free time, right? So before the COVID pandemic, they thought and they said, like, I had no time for this, I had no time for that. Now you have a lot of time.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely correct. So rather than sit around being sad because how awful it is to be trapped in your home or your room or whatever, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Do something that you've thought about and haven't done before.
I think COVID is the perfect answer for all the problems that we had before. Before we said, like, I had no time for my family because of my business trip. Now you have no business trip, so spend your time with your family.
Right, no, exactly. I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of babies born in 9 months.
Maybe, I don't know, but
I don't know. Well, not from my side. That's the fate of being alone. But I got a feeling that you know, there may be a burst in the childbirthing in about 9 months.
I think it happens when people not yet have the optimizing concept of what is the real sexuality. Because from what I know, when we are understanding correctly about the function of sexuality, and we use it, I mean, just enough. We use just enough of it, and we spend time for maybe things that are more important in our life. I don't know, but maybe it happens. I don't know.
Yeah, sexuality is an interesting thing. The Vietnamese, it's something I've discovered, are not, I don't think is, I don't want to be disparaging, but I don't think they're quite as developed as the West in terms of coming to grips with their sexuality. We're very comfortable discussing it and behaving and letting it out. And I think in Vietnam is coming around, but more slowly, because
exactly,
you know, it's more of a very traditional culture.
Exactly.
And just getting exposed sort of to the rest of the world. It's going to be an exciting time. I feel Vietnam in the next 5 years is going to be like the place to be on the planet, because of the fact that there's so much evolution coming fast.
I believe that the number of the abortion situation is in Vietnam happens because of the thing that you just mentioned, the traditional culture, because because in our traditional culture we think like sexuality is something bad, something that we should not mention in our talk, or especially should not bring into
sex to have babies. I mean, it's like, okay, let's have sex, but why do we have sex? To have children. Whereas in the West, sex is a wonderful, wonderful exercise, form of, you know, I mean, I can't think of anything more liberating and more healthy. It's fabulous. And I think that's something, you know, whereas to the Vietnamese, I think on the average, sex is something you do to make babies.
Yeah, it's
and it's more than that.
I think it's necessary that the educators have to consider to bring sexuality into education, because just as long as, I mean, just when we still keep it like something very secretly, or we try to run away from it, then the number of abortion in Vietnam and in some other countries all over the world will increase like non-stop.
Because of the lack of education and the lack of knowledge and the lack of just self-identity. I had a little girl that I'm teaching here in Kulo, and we were hanging out having coffee. This was before the lockdown. And she's, shoot, I can't remember how old she is. She's in secondary school. So she's maybe 11, 12, something like that, I guess. And she asked me, what do you think of LGBT? And I thought, I was so surprised that at first I was trying to figure out what it stood for. I thought maybe she was talking about like a BLT, a bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich. I had no idea. And I said, you mean lesbian, gay, sexual transgender? She said yes. And I was so pleased to see a young woman, a young girl, asking what I thought about that. And that was a new one on me. And boy, oh boy, it really lit me up. I was very pleased.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't believe you have such experience. But
yes, amazing.
Anyway, we mentioned the positive side of sexuality, right? And for me, sexuality is something can bring you the energy not from not I don't mean the other meaning, but it does.
Right.
If we understand it correctly, it does bring us energy. And besides, positive activities like sports, cooking, reading, playing guitars, or decorating your room, stuff like that. I also think there are more things that we can gain. That's how I call it. We can gain the energy from. Maybe you gain it from the time that you are writing. For me, I gain it from the time that I draw. Or for some people, they gain it from the time that they play sports, they do yoga, right? Or they do meditation. What do you think about the energy that comes from love?
From love? Well,
I don't mean love in a couple relationship, but in general.
Well, no, I think that's the ultimate, because then it's sort of a shared energy at that point. It's not just you feeding yourself energy. You are now also producing energy, and someone is producing it for you, and it becomes very symbiotic. And that's why I think that all artists, love is the greatest ideal, because that goes beyond the single person. It means another person or many people. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the ideal. I'm a romantic. I think love is fabulous. I mean, a lot of people just say, poo-poo, what's love? Mm-hmm. Like Tina Turner's song, what's love got to do with it? But I think love has everything to do with it.
Yes. A few days ago, I shared with people about the energy of love. And it's the original energy that came from the universe. Whether people are believing in it or not, I just believe that the love is our original energy of oneself. And talking about love, do you know Nikola Tesla?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And everybody knows about Albert Einstein, right?
Right.
So they spoke the same thing. They spoke the same thing, and that same thing was about love is the most powerful energy in the universe. Yeah. And it's unlimited. That energy is unlimited. Just people nowadays, people forget that they don't believe in real love, or they don't believe in the energy that love can bring to us. So, and they choose to act and they choose to think like, maybe when people come and help, they think like, don't ever take anything for granted. Or maybe someone come to you and say they love you because they want something from you. Nowadays, many people think that, and they do not believe in the real love anymore.
Well, I know, but that's because you know, look, love is it's not just 4 letters of a word. I mean, you've got to be careful when you consider love. It truly is an emotion and an energy, and our actions tend to express it more than our words. You can say I love you to anybody, and your motives might not be so good. So you've got to feel love, not hear it, feel it, do
it. Exactly. Because energy is what we can feel, right?
And
not what we can see.
Put out.
Yeah.
It's not words, not not even silly little actions. You can buy a girl a box of chocolates and blah blah blah. I love you, a Valentine card. That's not the essence of it. You got to find the essence.
Let's talk about the love that you always brought to your kids, to your children, because as I see, they love you so much. through your videos, through your stories that you told me before, I do believe that your students love you so much. And from my point of view, they love you because they can feel it, and your energy and their energy just combine together. So what do? We are talking about actions that present love, right?
I think first of all, I treat them as if they were my own children, and I treat them when we are in the classroom that it is us. We are the family, and I don't mean to break up families, but they don't. In my classroom, the influence of their parents, which can be overbearing for Vietnamese children, I've discovered.
Exactly.
They're not part of my class. Their parents are not in charge. They are not involved. This is our family in our classroom. And I'm dad, I guess, for lack of a better term. So I'm dad teacher, and we do it my way. And I love them, and they sense that. And they sense that I want them to achieve, and I try to instill in them a family feeling, that we are a family and that we all want to kick some ass and be the best, and as a group, and be the best individually. And so I don't know, I guess I've always kind of been a leader. I've always sort of taken that role and throughout my life. And so it's just another opportunity to lead, and the kids, they dig it because they know I'm coming from a very real place. They sense it. And so we have this, I just love them. I just, like I said, it's my family.
You know what, Ken? I always feel like when I ask you some questions and you answer, then I don't have to repeat it anymore, because I just feel the same way. And I do the same. I always teach. And I also teach different kinds of ages and different manners of the students. So, and people love me. My students love me. And sometimes when I sit, I just ask myself, like, why do they always love me like that? What did I do? And then the answers always come to me this way, because I always tell them to, no matter how old they are, I always tell them that learn as a child, and I love you. I started every classes by saying thank you, I love you. I don't know who you are and where you come from. I just thank you for being here, and I love you. And then we check out the class by saying the same thing. Thank you, nice. I love you.
That's great.
That is the love that that everybody want to share in the time that we are together. It's very important. And also, and you've mentioned the word, we treat each other as a group, not leader and team member, or maybe not teachers and learners, but I mean, we are equal, right?
We're a family. That's what I call it.
Yeah, we're a family. And it's interesting that however today people, Vietnamese family are getting more modern, but the action of saying I love you in the family is something really rare, especially in small town.
The Vietnamese don't express a lot of emotion, I notice. They don't even as far as embracing, kissing and hugging, they're very they're very restricted that way. And I think that's another reason my kids love me, because I'm a very physical guy.
Definitely.
I'm always rubbing their hair, patting their back, giving them a hug, and they love it, because children all love embraces, love physical contact, human contact. And people have said at first to me, oh, but this is not our culture. I said, look, your culture is the culture of humanity. There are no children that do not like to be hugged and just, get close to. All children love it. You have to unlearn that. And that's what happens to mom. They unlearn, they deprogram something quite natural in children. So my classrooms are very physical. I'm a physical guy. I'm a New Yorker. We move around. We use our hands. We use our face. We hug. We kiss. We slap, high five. We do all that. And humans were made to do that. Humans are physical. You have to unlearn that.
Some Vietnamese teachers try to speak to me sometimes, try to ask me some questions like, I saw that you were sharing teaching methods, and I saw that you were sharing about the way that you treated your students. I wanted to do the same thing, but I couldn't. That's so sad, because they are in the government school. I have my own company. I do whatever I think it's the best for my students.
Sure.
I do because I feel love that way. So I do the same thing for my students. They feel love, so they enjoy being with me. So they enjoy listening to me. That's it. That's easy.
Yeah, it is very easy.
And some teachers said like, oh, they thought teachings must be having some more spectacular methods. It's not. It couldn't be as easy as I say. But I say no. It's really easy.
It is, yes.
When you make your students love you, I mean, in the positive meaning.
Yes, of course.
They listen to you. They do whatever you ask them to do because they trust you. They trust the process. That's it.
Yeah, very good. Very well said.
Yeah. So it's, people always try to make everything complicated. With me, I always try to look deep down into the root of the problem. Why are they not listening to you? They are not feeling exciting about the thing that they are listening.
Yeah, they're not connecting. You've got to make the connection. Yeah. There's got to be a connection.
Exactly. Yeah.
And a teacher. There has to be a real connection.
Exactly.
And you can't force it. It can't be, I'm the boss. You will listen to me. You will do what I say. That's that's for the military. That's not for the classroom. That's for the oxen out in the field, plowing the field. That's not for students and education and learning.
Ken, there is another perspective that I see and I hear from people. They think like sweet words should be used for the kids. For the adults, we should be more strictly, and you should be more, maybe sometimes when you want them to do your homework, you have to speak, heavy words.
Right.
Sweet words cannot be used for adults, only used for kids. But yeah, maybe in some cases. But for me,
I talk to them however I'm feeling. If I have to raise my voice, I raise my voice. It's not what I care to do, but I can do it. But I also try to give the students as much leeway as possible. And then if they get too far, then I have to put my foot down. But then they learn that, but at least they're expanding in their self-respect and their self-responsibility. I think that in Vietnam, they're very hard. It's like, look, I look at Vietnam as America was in the 1950s. It's so similar. The mentality of the people is similar to America in 1950s. It used to be very strict. The teachers were so strict that yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, you sit down. Kids come to my classroom if they're a few minutes late and they ask permission to sit down. I mean, I think that's very charming, but I'm like, I look at them, I go, what would you say if I said no? You can sit down, just come in, and you can apologize to me after for being late, but get your butt in your seat, no problem. But I mean, it's so regimented, and it reminds me so much of the America of the 1950s.
Sometimes I feel like the adults are the child, but who is not yet mature. They are only taller, they're only bigger, they are not mature. So sometimes because they were not treated as a child when they were a child. So,
exactly. I think
right.
you're right. And I think what's going to make it very interesting in Vietnam, which is what I'm talking about, is the children are going to be experiencing things that no one before them experienced as far as growth and love and expression. And that is going to create really a lovely artistic revolution in Vietnam that is going to be like when America went from the 50s into the 60s. And there was this just blossoming of ideas and literature and art and music and everything. And I sense that coming for Vietnam, and it will be brought on by these young students that we are touching. We are opening doors for them that have never been opened. Their parents can't do it because they never had those doors. Their teachers can't do it because they've never had the doors. So it takes some wizardry.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's the right time. It's the perfect time for the educators to look back at that and to change and to adjust things that, especially during this time, the kids are not only not be able to go to school in public, but they have to sit at home in front of the laptop. And
Right.
if we do the same thing, as well before, things are getting boring and more boring, right?
I feel so bad for the children. I mean, I'm a grown man. I can take it. If I have to go 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever, will I be happy? No, not necessarily, but I can do it. But I cannot imagine being a child and having to go through this, because it's just, the one thing that might be good for them. The kids in Vietnam, like the kids all over the world, have become very addicted to the cell phone and playing games. Maybe now, after this is over, they'll put all that stuff down and run outside and play in the grass and jump in the water because they've been trapped inside so long. That might be one positive that comes from this.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I feel so sorry for the kids. At least I had a childhood where I could experience very beautiful things, especially in a small town like Jinzhou. But people, especially in modern city like Saigon, it's something like a dream for them. Okay, getting back again. Sometimes I hear people talking about unconditional love. So what is unconditional love, and what is conditional love, and what is good, what is not good? What do you think?
Well, I mean, unconditional love is really, I mean, love, if in its purest form, has to be unconditional, because that means that it's pure. In other words, you can make a big mistake. You could even turn on me, but I will still love you. It's sort of what you idealize the relationship between a parent and their child would be, unconditional love. No matter what you do, you will always be my daughter, or you will always be my son. And there's nothing that you can do that could possibly make me not love you. It would be sort of the romanticized version of love between lovers, unconditional. Going back to the archetype, Romeo and Juliet. I don't care if we're from opposing families. I don't care what they say about you, what you've done, what I've done. I love you unconditionally. So, it's the pure form of love. It's pure.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy if we can think about love in such a way. I mean, with parents and the kids, with Romeo and Juliet. I mean, among lovers, it's unconditional love. If we understand that way, maybe it's easy to understand. But do you think there is any case that me and you, or me and other people, we do not really know each other, but do you think we can have unconditional love?
Well, you know, that's very philosophical, because how would you love somebody that you don't even know? That would imply that you are yourself of pure love. That would make you Jesus-like or Buddha-like. I mean, that would make you, you know, almost a deity, something beyond human. Because, you know, humans want to love, but equally we feel pain and hurt, and we can be pretty damn nasty when we want to be. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I think in theory, as a philosophy, unconditional love is something we should all reach for. Just you know, unfiltered. It's nothing can harm it. It's you know, but I think that's a pretty lofty idea. I don't know how practical it is, and I'm not against it. I'm just saying I don't know how realistic.
Me too. I'm only practicing it because, as you know, we are human beings, and we are still hurt by people's actions. We all still hurt by people's words, right? We are not Buddha, so we are still hurt by that. So I think just only when we have unconditional love, no matter what they do, no matter who they are, if we have unconditional love among people, that way we can feel peace all the time.
Certainly. It's the highest ideal, but it's such a high ideal, and it's something you have to, you know, really practice. Not practice alone. It's like you have to put it into practice. You have to put, what we say, your money where your mouth is. If somebody hurts you, you have to be able to throw out your anger, bitterness, and desire for revenge, and be forgiving and loving. And that ain't easy, but you're right. It's a lovely ideal to work towards.
That is why so many people started to ask themselves questions like, how can I liberate from all the sufferings in my life? And because they knew that in the history there was a human being called Buddha who already did that, right? Buddha did that. Buddha could liberate himself.
And that's the whole point of most religions. Jesus, Buddha, this was their
Mohammed, right?
Let me see. I'm trying to plug my charger because I'm going to have to relocate my seat here. It looks like because I'm losing.
What I'm trying to tell you is because nowadays people are experiencing a lot of sufferings, more and more and more, right? So they started asking ways that they can liberate themselves from all the sufferings, and that is why so many people in this period of time, they started to learn about the spiritual things, and they started to learn about the story of the Buddha or the Jesus or Muhammad. And practicing learning about the Buddha's path in the history, from my understanding, they will surely learn about the unconditional love that he already mentioned in their Bibles or things in books. That is why I discuss unconditional love with you. That is the thing that I want to practice as well.
I agree. We want to better ourselves. We want to get rid of the sins of jealousy and hatred, revenge and anger, and all of those things that are very easy to come by, and it takes work, and it takes prayer and meditation. Whatever it takes, you do whatever it takes. But it's daily. It's a daily ritual. Nobody wakes up and says, "Oh, I'm cured of all of those bad desires and things like that." Nobody's going to come to me and tell me, because then they would have achieved Jesus status, Buddha status, and it doesn't happen. It's something we must do minute by minute, moment by moment. day by day.
I totally agree with you, because it should be absolutely a long process, and it requires you to have the patience, the focusing, I mean the concentration in every minute of your life. Because maybe in 23 hours you meditate, you concentrate on what you are doing at the time, but just in 1 hour you lose that. Then you start swearing at people, you start
exactly.
At that time you do not have the unconditional love, and you destroy everything, right?
You know that you want to be better, as long as you do whatever you need to do. Everyone has their own process. Being aware, conscious of what is not good as a feeling or emotion, that's the beginning of change and the beginning of fixing it, you know?
You already know that I'm right now practicing meditation. And what do you think of meditation?
Well, I think it's great. I think that whatever it takes for a person to get that stillness, that inner peace, that, that to get into the zone is great. And meditation is obviously proven for centuries to be a very effective way of achieving that. So hats off to you.
Yeah. And for me, meditation is not only the time that you spend with yourself, sitting alone, eyes closed, doing nothing, but you have to meditate in every actions as well. If you do not do that, it's not enough. But there's one thing that I learned recently. I try to figure out, why do we need to meditate in a way that we have to sit, eyes closed, doing nothing, just inhale and exhale, and why? That is the most common thing that the meditators are practicing. Why do they not do things like running or singing or drawing?
Well, I think that they probably do. Look, I think that you've got to quiet everything, get all that ambient sound and thought out of your mind. I mean, I think that's the goal of meditation. I have my own ways of meditating. I think I do, but I understand that form. You have to simply get all that outside noise as for away, and your inner noise then away, and find that place. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to be isolated and quiet and dark. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to me, even though I don't necessarily practice it, it makes complete sense. But I think you're right. The ultimate goal is to keep that presence at all times, even when you are out and about in the world, that there is that inner peace that's inside, that you're in a constant state of somehow meditation. It's not easy. It's like the unconditional love. These are things we strive for. And that's good. People who strive for these lofty goals, I think are noble. I like it.
I am thinking that there are two different directions of having unconditional love, or of having true meditation method. I don't know, but I think there are two main directions. The first direction is meditation or unconditional love is hard, and it takes time and takes patience to get it. Or the other directions is, it's just simply originated from when the universe was born, when the Adam and Eve either were born, maybe we were born unconditional love, and we were born knowing meditation already, but because through time we forgot it. We were busy with life. We were taught to be compete with each other. We were taught to run, to look and find happiness outside, and to make more than others do. So we forgot. I think I believe that there are two main direction of thoughts like that. I don't know the exact answer, but I more think like we originally have unconditional love inside of us, but we forgot. Now we have to find it back. That's what I thought.
I agree. I like that. That's good. It's worth seeking, because you're sort of like coming to the mutual home, if you can find it, back to the campfire, the original campfire.
I think I already read or listened to a story about Adam and Eve. They were born a female and a male to create our human beings community stuff, but then Adam made mistake when he
bit the apple. Yeah, well, it's
he ate the apple, right?
Judeo-Christian story. It's the foundation of Judaism and Catholicism. Adam and Eve. God created Adam and Eve, and they were innocent. And as you say, unconditional love.
Yeah.
They were running around the Garden of Eden naked. They didn't know they were naked, so they weren't looking at each other going, whoa, or deciding
no judgment
about it. Just all very natural.
Yeah.
And then the snake, who would be, that the bad guy on your shoulder, convinced Eve to pick the apple and convince Adam to bite it, and he did. And that was from the tree of knowledge, which means that suddenly they became conscious. The bite of the apple made them aware. Suddenly they saw each other as naked. Suddenly they covered up self-consciously. In other words, what it's saying is, and this is kind of very something to really think about, is that created sin, knowledge, knowing. Before you had knowledge, you were natural.
Yes.
As soon as you become knowledgeable, then you start saying, that's naked, this is good, that's bad, this is night, this is day, blah, blah, blah. And so, we are forever, our goal, if you follow this religion, is that you are trying to right yourself enough to try to be, and you never can be, but try to be as innocent as Adam and Eve before they ate the apple.
Yeah. And before they ate the apple, I believe their life were more happy, were more peaceful, right?
Of course, of course. It was because
that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Just existence. It was just existence. They weren't making conscious decisions. But again, it is what it is. It's a story. It's like the story in Vietnam of the dragon and the mountain fairy.
Exactly.
Creating the first children, created the Vietnamese. Every culture has and faith has these stories, and they're all so similar.
Exactly. That is very interesting, right? It's very interesting. It has different names, it has different characters, but it has the same messages.
Exactly. Exactly. It's what they call the archetype. That's what Carl Jung, the great psychologist, wrote about. Archetype. The Jungian way.
A few days ago, I did some research on the internet about David Hawkins. Have you ever heard of David Hawkins?
You mean the astrophysicist guy?
he's one of the book is called The Power and the Force and Powers. Force versus power, or power versus forces.
Okay, I'm not.
That book is talking about the different level of energy. And I found something really interesting, and I think it's very useful as well. And I did share to people. He has a chart showing different level of energy can affect people's health. For example, and those energy, they can be evaluated by machine. And he said, like, when you are in the level of around over 200 hertz, you are not easy to be affected by the virus. And if your energy is lower than 200 hertz, you are easily affected by virus. Right. And high energy and low energy is existing. And try to push your energy over 200 hertz. What do you think?
I'm sure that energy has a lot to do with it, because energy is going to play a factor in the immune system. But all of these viruses are directly related to the strength of your immune system. Now, does positive energy, does a positive attitude help to create a stronger immune system? I would think so. Makes sense. Just like people who worry too much tend to get cancer, because they're not, it has nothing to do with what they're eating. You can think yourself into sickness. So yeah, I would say energy definitely affects the immune system. Many things affect the immune system.
Yeah, I heard of stories saying, like, they give the two different how do you call the people who are getting sick? Patient? Or victims. Victims. Whatever. Or patient. I don't know. Victims. They give the same medicine to two different victims, and one they say, "Oh, this medicine is the best medicine we have, and it can best develop your immune system, or positive thing." And other, they just give them the medicine and say nothing, and they observe the results after that. And the people who are given the medicine at the same time with the positive words,
they feel better.
Exactly. And I think
they have the same test. They will often they do trials where they'll take 10 patients, 5 of them get the real medicine, 5 of them get what they call a placebo. It's not even the real medicine. And oftentimes people with the placebo, because they believe that they are taking the medicine and believe in it, they come out with the same effect. I mean, look, there's no doubt that how you feel about yourself, your personal energy affects everything, including your health and including your ability to fight off viruses or infections or disease or whatever. But that's pretty common knowledge. I mean, mental health is extremely important in as part of your whole. It's part of your body, right? Your physical health, mental health.
Exactly.
You can't separate them.
And from that, I do believe that the energy doesn't only come from the outside aspects. Things like somebody think they can only have the positive energy by eating functional products.
You're right. It comes from within.
It comes from within as well, right?
I think it comes mostly from within. I think that within is where it starts, and then you can build it from the exterior things, diet and exercise and all that, but it has to start inside. Exactly. Because that's how we really change our chemical makeup. People can make themselves sick just by their thoughts, and you can make yourself well by your thoughts.
Exactly. That is why I invited you here today to talk about what to do in the COVID pandemic, because people say, oh, I cannot go out, I cannot meet this, I cannot meet that, I cannot buy this, I cannot buy that, so I do not have energy. But I don't believe that, because I believe that energy comes from within. So whatever you do that makes you happy, like if cook something makes you happy, do it. If you play guitar makes you happy, do it. If learning a new language makes you happy, do it. That is the way that you can have the energy, the positive energy, to raise your frequency up and to help you like run away from the COVID.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I'm trying to tell people.
Look, otherwise you're gonna melt in a big pile of sadness and self-pity. And that will kill you worse than the virus.
Yeah.
You simply must find a distraction, help yourself grow while you're a prisoner, because we're all prisoners. So let's do something, anything, find something.
Yes,
definitely. Dress up, put on clothes, dig through the closet and mix and match your clothes.
Good one.
All kinds of weird makeup things. Anything. Just free yourself using what is available.
And I also
have no choice.
I also find another way that we can have positive energy and love. It's good, and it's really necessary. We do something for ourselves, but if we try to do something for others and they feel happy because of the things that we do for them, it's another way that we can have positive energy by giving. What do you think?
Well, that's true. Yes, of course.
Yeah, that is why we are doing stuff in the English with meditation community, right, Ken? You are the academic advisor, as I consider that, and I just suddenly think, and I just think like, oh, Ken should be a perfect academic advisor, and I'm only the facilitator in that community, but I feel so much joy when recently we operate a session called the Mid-Autumn Festival, and I was sorry I didn't tell you about that, because that one is not my facilitation. I don't know, but so I'm sorry, I forget that. But we did a session called Mid-Autumn Festival, and it was so happy and it was magical when people are reminded of the old culture of their village, and it was so emotional. It has been a long time they haven't experienced such beautiful things, so it made them peaceful and it made them happy and emotional. So I just suddenly feel like, oh, I can feel what you're feeling too. It's really beautiful when we give, and the thing we are doing is another way of giving, right, Ken? We are sharing our positive.
We're certainly sharing, and sharing is giving.
So. And in a couple of days, we also have not a couple of days, but next session of the English with meditation community, we have another session that session we will honor our parents. We are honor our family, and I would love to have you there with us. And maybe the next session we will talk about the powerful energy of love. Maybe, I don't know, but those topics, and I believe you are a very good advisor for us for the academic.
I hope so. I have a lot of experience in my life, and I can share what I've learned. That's and I haven't learned it all through books. I mean, of course I read. My experiences come from real life, trial and error.
We've ran through over an hour, so I know. I would like to sum up this talk. I would like to sum up this talk with you by inviting you to speak your 2 key messages that you want to send to people who are listening to us right now.
All right, 2 key messages. Do not weep and cry and have self-pity in this difficult time. Instead, find something, anything that you've either wanted to try or that maybe you've put off, or something you've been curious about but never thought you had the talent or the skill for it, and do it. Just do things that obviously you're limited. You can only do what's in your home, but dig around. You'll find all sorts of magical things and objects that you can make some magic out of. And that's it. It's time for magic, folks.
I just sum up your advice here. Do not weep and cry and have self-pity. Instead, find something you wanted to try and just do things. That is so spectacular.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on. I enjoy it. I mean, it's the most English I've spoken in since the last time I saw you.
That is why we combine what we like and what we can share to the community just in one thing. That is the thing that came from wisdom. I think love and wisdom should combine together, right, Ken?
Yes.
We do something we love, but that thing can help as well. It's perfect, right? So I'm so very blissful having you in the English with Meditation community as an academic advisor. And I really hope that you find joy there as well. And anything you feel like you want to share, just directly talk to me. And besides English with meditation, I also have a Sketchnote Vietnam community, Visual Thinking community, and the Doodle Kids community. All those communities you can join as well. This afternoon we have a session called Visual Facilitation. I think it's in Vietnamese, but you feel
no, that's okay. Look, I've got some things on my plate today. Anyway, this was perfect. The timing of this was ideal for me because it was morning, but in the afternoon I've got some commitments and I've got to write. I've took on a new book project. I'm getting busy, believe it or not. Here during this COVID,
I believe. Me too.
It's
so.
cool.
Okay, again, thank you a lot so much for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ken. Bye. I hope people feel joy and they are getting some benefits from our talk. If you're here, leave some hearts. Còn nếu ai còn nghe, mọi người có thể thả tim cho Ken được không ạ? Chúng ta sẽ tạm biệt Ken và có thể sẽ hẹn gặp lại vào một ngày nào đó ha. Cảm ơn tất cả mọi người rất là nhiều. Chào mọi người và chúng ta sẽ hẹn gặp nhau ở số thứ 11 của series Nghe Chun kể chuyện ha. Nếu như mọi người còn muốn nghe về một cái chủ đề gì đó mà Chun có trải nghiệm, Chun sẽ chia sẻ, hoặc mọi người muốn nghe từ những vị khách mời ấy, thì mọi người cũng hãy chia sẻ cho Chun cái vấn đề mọi người đang quan tâm và Chun sẽ cố gắng để Chun mời những cái người khách mời giống như Ken ngày hôm nay đến với chúng ta ha. Cảm ơn mọi người rất là nhiều. Cảm ơn chị Ánh, cảm ơn Alice Nguyễn, cảm ơn chị Hiền, cảm ơn anh Giang, Thanh Ngân, Trâm Tranh, Tiến Đạt, Nakimi, anh Lục. Cảm ơn mọi người rất là nhiều ạ. Thank you, I love you. Thank you, I love you. Bye.